Alright, so this tutorial is going to be about creating 3D views in Revit, being able to edit those 3D views, and then kind of dressing them up a little bit, adding shadows, adding backgrounds, and things like that to those 3D views. So, alright, what we're going to do, let me go to our assignment sheet real quick. And so on our assignment sheet, we have these perspective views. And what we're doing a total of 6 of these. 3 of them are exterior, 3 of them are interior views. Alright, so 3 of them are basically placed on the exterior in the northwest, northeast, and southeast corners, and then we're going to have 3 in the interior at the lobby, the open office area, and the lease space on the 2nd floor. So let me get back to our project here, and let me show you then. I'll start with these exterior views. Alright, so to create this 3D view, we're going to create a perspective view, and you can do it either one of 2 ways. You can either go to this little house icon up here at the top of the screen and go to the camera command, or you can go over to the View tab and look for the same icon, the 3D views, and look for the camera icon. Alright, so that's what we're going to do. So the first thing you're going to do is your offset is basically, this is kind of your eye level. So 5'6" is about right off of the ground floor level. Sounds good. Alright, so then what you're doing is, this is, see the little cursor, it's got a little camera icon. So that's basically the point at which you're standing. And then the second point that you're going to click is basically the back or the far end of the view. Right, so I'm going to click out here, kind of in this this northeast corner, and go like right about here. Sounds good. And then click, and then I want to look basically at the building, so I just kind of move this target point somewhere back behind the building. Alright, so right about there. Sounds good. And so it immediately opens up that 3D view that you just created, and then also you can see down here it creates a new 3D view under 3D views here. We're going to call this one 3D view 3. Alright, so I'm going to rename it. I'm just going to right click, rename, and we'll call this one view from, oops, let's do all caps. View from northeast corner. Alright, so I'm going to label it and then say OK. So now I got my view from northeast corner, and you can see here it's a little, it cuts the building off a little bit at the top and a little bit at the sides. So to kind of reformat that view, you can do a couple things. You can do, you can select this little boundary on the outside, so click on that boundary, and you've got these little grips here, little blue dots, which are grips, and then you can widen the view that way. Alright, so I'm going to stretch this out this way, stretch this one out up top, and stretch this one out to the side, and you can see your view. So that way you can see the whole thing, and let me pull this up a little bit at the bottom. Alright, so this way you can see your the whole building, and so that basically just selecting that box around the outside allows you to just widen your view. Alright, but let's say you want to do a little bit more tweaking. Maybe you want to rotate to the side, move the camera up or down. That's where the this view control, the full navigation wheel, comes in. Right, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click over here on this icon. Alright, and I'm going to click for the full navigation wheel. Now if this icon doesn't show up, you can actually find it under the View tab, under User Interface, and I'm going to click down here, and it should say Navigation Bar or something like that. Make sure that's checked. Alright, so that'll turn this thing on. So I'm going to click my full navigation wheel here, and so we got a couple things on here. So zoom's pretty easy, so I'm going to hold my cursor down on that, and I'm just basically holding down the left mouse button, and I'm going to move forward and backwards, and that will zoom in and zoom out. Alright, so that zooms in, zooms out. Orbit's kind of nice because you could rotate around that way. You could kind of toggle your camera around, so I'm going to click on Orbit. Again, holding down on the left mouse button and rotating the cursor side to side. Now you'll notice too, in there in the middle of that view there's a little green ball that says pivot. That's basically the point at which, it's like a hinge point basically in this view. That's the point at which this whole view is moving. That's kind of like the hinge in there. You can always move that with the center command here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down again on the left mouse button. I'm going to drag that center point, and I can basically move it around and attach it to something. So I'm going to attach it to the corner of that curtain mullion right there. So I'm going to attach that and then move my pivot point to that point here, and then you wait for a second and Revit readjusts. Now when I use the Orbit command, I can rotate around, and I'm rotating around that pivot point there. And so I can rotate, so I want to see more of that view, that side over there. If I want to see more of that north elevation, then this look command down here, that basically is like moving your head side to side or up or down. All right, so I hold down on the left mouse button again, and I rotate the mouse, and that's basically just looking up and down, side to side, so on and so forth. All right, up down moves the camera basically up and down. All right, so I'm just moving vertically up and down. All right, so I want to get a little bit higher or a little bit lower. And then the pan button, basically you can just pan right to left. All right, so it's kind of like the opposite of up and down. All right, then the walk command basically allows you to kind of do a walkthrough through your building in real time. So I'm going to hold down my left mouse button on the walk command, and I'm going to push my mouse a little bit forward. And this is kind of an art. There's a little bit of an art to this. This is kind of something that just takes a little while to get used to, but you basically push forward with the mouse, and you start moving towards the building. And you can kind of walk through the door. Now you can't get those doors to open, but you can walk right through the glass. And then just kind of move to down the hallway. And again, like to get it without crashing or anything like that, it's kind of you need to work with it a little bit. But here you can use this command just to kind of do some walkthroughs through the building and kind of take a look around. And then head back out the door again. Here, I'll go out these doors. Oops. Now if you push your mouse too far forward, what you're going to do is just go flying through the building. And so you'll fly out and kind of in the middle of space. So you have to be very subtle. It's a very subtle movements with that walk command, so just kind of be careful with it. The other one too is kind of a nice one, is this rewind button here. Let's say you do fly off and fly out into the middle of space, and you want to replace and you want to go backwards to a point in time where your view actually looked pretty good. You can use this rewind button. So I select the rewind button, and it gives you this kind of string of views, and I can go backwards basically. And I can go all the way back out, and I could rewind all that whole walkthrough, so I get back to the outside of the building. So I can kind of go back a little bit further. There we go. All right, so the rewind button is kind of nice. So you just basically hold down on the left mouse button, and you just kind of go back through time, or go back through all these little previews here to get back to where you were. All right, so that's basically the walk, up, down, look, orbit, zoom. So these views, this is basically just a way of kind of manipulating those views till you get it kind of right. You know, till you get something that you like. Over here in the lower right-hand corner is a little drop-down menu, a little down arrow, and you get a couple more commands that are kind of nice. What you can do is you can move crop boundary. That's kind of a nice one. So I can select move crop boundary, and you can basically, the view stays the same. You're just moving that crop boundary around. Right. So I can move down here, up here. It's like a little window that you can move around. All right, so that's a good one. What's another one here? Let me hit escape to get out of that. Down menu. Another one is increase focal depth. That's kind of a neat little feature. I'm going to do that one, and it basically kind of changes the camera a little bit, so you can kind of tweak it a little bit. And what I'm doing is, oops. So you can, it basically just alters your perspective of in the view. So increase focal depth. Oops. Sorry, hang on one more time. All right. All right, and then I'm going to use that in conjunction with the zoom command. And zoom back in. Oops, and I've kind of overstretched my view. Alright, so I probably overdid it on the increasing focal depth. So I'm basically going to use my rewind command here to go back to a point where that view didn't look so crazy. Alright, let's do that. Let's shrink this down again. Alright, and I'll zoom back in. So it basically alters the perspective a little bit, so it's a little bit more dramatic. Look at the thin lines. Okay, so then at this point, then you've set up your view. You've got kind of the right view. You've got kind of your camera position located really well, and you like that. So a couple things that you can do to dress up your view. of course, is down here on the view control bar. You've got the view styles, and so right now we're in hidden line, but you could go to shaded to give it a little bit of color. You can go to realistic to give it a little bit more realistic look, and it takes a second for it to kick in. Alright, so you got a realistic view, and I'm going to actually move this around so you can see more of the front of it. Okay, and then look that way. Alright, then the other thing you can do is add shadows to the view if you wanted to kind of give it a little bit more realism. So what you do is over here on the view control, or on the view control bar, you have shadows on or shadows off. So I'm going to click on that. All right, so it turns the shadows on. So right now there's shadows on this building, and what you can do is you have to kind of go through at certain times of the day to find out what shadow pattern kind of looks the nicest on this building. All right, so right now we're looking at the north elevation, which is the worst elevation you can for the for shadows, because the sun never shines really on the north side of the building. So what I want to do is fix the or kind of manipulate my shadows a little bit. So there's this one here called Sun Path, and so I'm going to click on that. And what I'm going to do is go to Sun Settings. So when you do that, you go to the Sun Path and then go to Sun Settings. That's what's going to control your shadows. Alright, so what I've got here is I'm going to change this to still. Alright, because we're going to do a still view. And once you do that, then you can change your location. So right now I've got Austin, Texas set up here, but you could go here and pick kind of anywhere in the world. This is basically, it connects to I think it's like Google Maps or something like that, so you can actually pick a point on the map where your building's located. All right, or you can type in another city, so I can go to like Boston. Oops, sorry. Go there. All right, and then instead project address, I can just type in Boston, Massachusetts, and just say enter. All right, so then it takes me to Boston, Massachusetts, and your shadows will change a little bit. And then if I hit apply, let me just change them. So you can see that Boston, Massachusetts, the sun's different at June 1st, 2010. And then it's kind of interesting that you can change the year. Some years are better for sunlight, I guess, than others. Then you can change your time if you want to do something in the morning, so like 8 a.m. All right. And being that this is the north side of the building, usually at the early morning, the sun gets you get a little bit of sun on the north face of the building. Let me just go there. So there, I've got 7 a.m. early sun, and I got some shadows kind of the curtain walls projecting on that back wall, and I get a little bit of sun on the front of the building, and you can kind of see the shadow of that overhang on the side of the building there, so that doesn't look too bad. You can change the date. You can change it to the 21st so that the sun is a little bit more on the front of the building. Alright, so then so that's basically setting up your shadows. Alright, so you can kind of go through different times of the year and different times of the day and kind of tweak your shadows and just kind of look at them and figure out something that works for you. Then there's a couple other things that you can do on here. So if I'm in my view here and I scroll down, I'm looking for, let's see, where is it? Graphic display options. All right, so I'm going to go to graphic display options. It's on my properties dialog box. I'm going to go to edit. Okay, and here I can change things. So I can change it back to hidden line or shaded or something like that. But I'm going to keep it at realistic for now. All right, and then I can control my shadows. So I click this little down arrow there. So I'm saying cast shadows, and then I can also say cast ambient shadows. So I'm going to check that and hit apply. Alright, so I can hit add any shadows. That'll actually show up a little bit better on my interior view, so I'll show you that in a little bit. Alright, I'm going to go to lighting, and I can change my sun settings. So I can change if I want it a little bit brighter, hit apply. Alright, so that makes it a little bit brighter. I can make those shadows a little bit lighter. Hit that. Alright, so it kind of reduces the darkness of my shadows. Get more ambient light, pump that up a little bit. Maybe not so much. Alright, so you can kind of control the darkness of your shadows. I actually kind of liked it with less ambient light and more dark shadows. All right, so that's good. And then the other thing you can do is control your background. So I'm going to click, hit that, and then background. I've got none. I could put sky in there. Let's hit apply. Let's see what that looks like. So I got a sky in the background. I can use a gradient in the background or an image. If I had an image of just clouds or a sky image or something like that, I could plug that in. I'm going to go with gradient. All right, so this is gradient. So this is your ground color. This is your horizon color. This is your sky color. So let me change my sky to something a little bit more less dreary and less dark and ugly. There we go. All right, and hit apply. And so you can get like kind of a gradient, you know, I think it's a nicer sky than what was there before. But you can kind of tweak that a little bit. Maybe get a green color for your background to kind of match your ground, because I'm using grass in this one, or something like that. So basically, you can kind of use those commands to tweak your views, put a background in, reduce your shadows, or things like that. You don't have to go with a realistic view. Sometimes a hidden line looks pretty good too when you do this. So I'm going to say OK. All right, go back to hidden lines. Of course, it kept my gradient in the background. But let's keep the blue. Let's keep the background, but let's change the ground color to white. All right, and let's change this to something really weird. All right, like an orange color for the background of the sky. I'm going to say apply. And then you can even take your shadows and kind of tweak them a little bit so that, let's go to lighting. And I'm going to crank my shadows as dark as I can get them. And crank that back down, sun. And get rid of my ambient light. There. So you can do kind of all kinds of things, kind of dress up. This is kind of a dark, kind of moody looking rendering or something like that. But you can play around with it, just get different kind of looks for your for the building. Then for interior views, it's kind of the same situation. Let's just go to an interior view. Let's do one of my lobby. All right, so I'm going to place a camera in the lobby, kind of in this corner, looking out that way. All right, so here's my lobby view, and again, I'm going to stretch it out a little bit so that I can see more of it. And actually, maybe I'll do go to my navigation wheel and increase the focal depth and length. There, stretch it out that way. Okay, and then maybe look up a little bit more. Maybe see that stare. It's a nice dramatic stare. All right, and then I'm going to add some shadows in here. So let's go to shadows. I'm going to go to sun settings. Still. Okay, Boston, Massachusetts. Do that early in the morning thing. All right, and then apply my shadows. There. And kind of get a little bit more drama there. I can maybe go a little bit earlier in the morning to get some taller shadows. Let's go 7 a.m. So something like that. And maybe those shadows are a little bit dark. So I'm going to take my lighting and reduce that shadow darkness. Apply a little bit more. Like that. All right, I'm going to turn on my ambient shadows. Let's see if that works there. A little bit of ambient shadows. What these ambient shadows do is they kind of give it a little fuzziness kind of around the edges. Adds a little bit more realism. You can see that the shading underneath there isn't consistent. It's a little bit lighter at the edges and a little bit darker in the middle. So that's kind of what the ambient shadows do. Let me crank those up a little bit more. So it just adds it's just a little feature onto it. But something like that. So you could do something like that for your exterior view. But so that's basically it for doing your exterior views, and that's just some ways of kind of dressing it up a little bit. All right, so once you get your 3D renderings done, you get maybe all 6 of your renderings done, then the next thing you're going to want to do is put them on a sheet and then format them on that sheet. So let me grab some of the ones that I just created. So I created this one, I think view number 3. That was that interior perspective that I did. So I'm going to add that to this. Well, I'm just going to rename it real quick and view in lobby, all caps. All right, so view in lobby. All right, so to add it onto a sheet, basically what I do is I open up my sheet. So here's my sheet that I just created, and I'm going to drag it and drop it onto the sheet. And there you go. All right, so let me do that one more time, actually, a little bit slower. So I'm going to drag it, and then basically holding down right now on the left mouse button, and I let go, and then there's the view, and then basically I'm going to give it another click to basically place it. So let's put it right in the middle of the sheet here. All right, and I click, and it places that view. All right, so this is the view here, and it may be that I want to make this a little bit larger. Right? I may just put 2 of these or 3 of these on the sheet, but I want to make it a little bit larger. So to do that, what I'm going to do is resize this view. Now you'll notice it doesn't have a scale in here because it's a perspective view. So when you have a perspective view like this, and you want to rescale it, what you're going to do is just select the view. Then once you have the view selected, up here and under Size Crop, you'll select that button here, and you've got a width and a height dimension. Then you have two choices here. You've got field of view or scale. All right, so field of view, basically all that's controlling then is your crop boundary. So for example, if I change that to 12 inches, I'm going to hit apply, you'll notice it just makes the view wider. So I'm just changing my crop boundary with the field of view. Let's change that to 8 3/4 again. Okay, hit apply, sends it back. All right, scale. Once you have that little button here, the radio button here for scale checked, then you can actually scale the view a little bit larger. So this is 8 3/4. Let's make it 12 inches. All right, and it automatically will update height, so you don't have to figure out what you want for the height. It keeps those proportions locked. All right, and then I hit apply, and so what that does is it keeps the same proportions, but it just makes the view a lot larger. Right, so I can go to so scale proportions. Or sorry, scale lock proportions, go to 14 inches. All right, automatically updates your height. Hit OK. All right, and then so basically it makes your view a little larger. So that's basically the trick to rescaling those views. And so for this one, you're going to do 6 views, probably 3 on a sheet, 3 interiors on a sheet, 3 exteriors on a sheet. So you'll just have to find, to kind of go through and try to resize those views to find a size that gets 3 views on there comfortably and looks good. So, all right, so that's basically on how to add them onto a sheet and reformat those view sizes.